What's going on, guys? Welcome on in. Happy Wednesday. Happy CPI day. Happy Powell day. We are back in the saddle, as always, and we got some good action, at least in terms of CPI, big move, and then Powell really hasn't done much in terms of move the markets. I mean, we went down initially off the initial reaction to the rate decision, and then not much has occurred really after. Well, we bounced back really, so we're not high a day, but we're close. I mean, let's just take a step back here. I think we should take a step back, okay, and think about something which I didn't think about really. Well, I did this morning, but okay. SPY is at 543. I remember the days like it was yesterday that SPY was well under $400 when we hit the lows here, under 350. But I remember the days back when, not that long ago, SPY was under 400, and here we are not that long later after the bear market lows of 2022. We're talking about about a year and a half ago, and SPY is at almost $550 per share. Bear market low 2022 to right now, the S&P is up about 56%. I mean, I just took a step back and was like, that's kind of crazy. Now, of course, when you pinpoint bear market low to high, yeah, okay, yeah, but still a lot from the pre-pandemic high, or sorry, from not the pre-pandemic highs, the 2022 or the 2021 highs. I'm curious how far that is from there. From that level, it's up 13%, which is more fair, I would say, in terms of average returns. If you were to take, from that point to now, I guess it's kind of like 2 years, a little over two and a half, about 2.5 years. It's actually a little bit low. Crazy though, crazy stuff. And here you go. So you have the big gap and go kind of day. I mean, not an aggressive go day, but big gap up nonetheless off of CPI, which we'll look at in a minute. And then so far it's held up pretty well. Powell, I believe we can look at some summary of what he's been saying. He should be stepping down any minute, I believe. He's still talking, but he's almost done. Powell discusses long run rates as theoretical. Economy overcoming pandemic shocks. Better data is important. Emphasizes conservative forecasting and risk balance. Cooling of strong job market gradually. Overall strong picture. Policy to be data dependent. Same shit. Yada, yada, yada. Rate cut hopes delayed. Stocks climb. Yields fall. I mean, yeah. I mean, he just said, I'm not at a point of giving dates for rate cuts. But yeah, I mean, the market's nearing high day and it's done well, It's done well. QQQ just made a new high of the day. I wonder what Apple's up to right now. Apple, holy shit. Oh my God. Apple's up 6%. Dude, look at the candles on Apple. Look at the Apple candles. I mean, you want to talk about something we haven't seen before, at least in a while. I mean, on Apple doesn't move that much. I mean, it moves. Don't get me wrong. In a bull market, Apple does very, very well for itself, or it has at least. I guess because in a bull market, Tesla hasn't. So some stocks don't always just go up in a bull market. But it's up to almost 220. It said 200. Suck it. We're going for like a shit ton more, and we are not looking back. That's crazy shit on Apple. Awesome for those who've been invested in Apple. You are looking good. You are feeling good, and I'm happy for you. I'm very happy for you. Great, man. What a stock. What a stock over the years, What a stock. What a stock. But yeah, Apple's been on a tear. I wonder if it will get a 5-minute consolidation breakout here into the end of the day. I'll just draw a line there. I'm not trading that, but I wonder if he will. I had a trade on NVIDIA today. That'll be out in the next couple of days in terms of trade recaps. The Dow, believe it or not, is not that strong. The Dow actually is sold off a lot from today's open. Not nearly as strong in the Dow. The Russell had a big day up, but nothing crazy. Obviously, SMH, semis, come on. Where do you think that those are going? Up or down on a day like this? They're probably going up, and they are. New all-time highs on SMH. Are we surprised? Not really. AMD up about 1%. AMD, looks kind of boring. Nvidia, on the other hand, different story. Now, we got this weird wick. I don't know why that thing's there. If I go to the 4-hour time frame, new all-time high on Nvidia there today, which is not surprising. Tesla, 5% day. I drew this as an idea, and I was thinking to myself, hey, could this be a play on Tesla? I'm not going to trade this, although it piqued my interest, but it doesn't really fit any strategy, so I'm like, eh. But the idea was kind of like, okay, well, you had like almost a false breakdown, right? The problem that I have in it is that Tesla's been in such a downtrend that I can't trade it long per my strategy, so it just doesn't fit me. But I'm like, if for whatever reason you took this and said, hey, you got a false breakdown right here as of yesterday, and then today you buy back with big volume, or you bounce back with big volume, what if you take a position at the end of the day today, and then you use your stop loss for a swing? Like this is you're swinging it until earnings. Ideally, you sell before earnings. But either you hit the low or you push up towards 208. Was roughly a 2-to-1 idea. I thought it's valid. It's certainly a valid idea, especially if, hey, eventually Tesla bounces back. It may not, but it might. Well, it was interesting. We have gold and silver kind of just, up a little bit. Bitcoin was up a lot more. It was up a little more. It's come back a bit off of where it was. The 10-year, that was down a little bit more. 4.25 hit. It's bounced back to 4.3. But that did take a massive dive today. Technically breaking down underneath this. So, I mean, what I would want to see a little more, pull to the downside. Maybe 4.2% would be a better look. But what you do now have on the 10-year is, a series of lower highs. And if this is a lower high here, well, okay, interesting. And now, a couple of little lower lows. And if this one's a new one, you got a couple lower. So you've got a little bit of a downtrend now setting up clearly on the 10-year. If you go to TOT, that pretty much broke out of the downtrend, pushed up, bounced or pulled back, retested the breakout, and then now it's up. But we'll see how these things hold up in the coming days, because of course, just one day, a lot can change in a couple of days. So we're watching that closely. I have a position on eBay long, which is fine and just needs to pop off. We'll see if that maybe happens soon. If not, we get stopped. I also have a Bitcoin long. Those are the two open positions right now. I'm very heavily considering a booking long. Here's the problem, though, is that I'm not going to be able to get the entry that I really would like on it. But at the same time, I don't know how big of a deal that actually is. Targeting 4,000. So if I target 4,000 on it and I got in right now and I risked it under today's low, that would be around 3,800, which would mean about a 1.2 to 1, which is not that great, to be honest with you. If you ask me, a 1.2 to 1 is nothing amazing, nothing to, clap for, in my opinion. But at the same time, we probably could go for more. So yeah, there could be something here. I'm kind of contemplating it. It is breaking out. It is a good opportunity based off my setup, but I'm a little late to the party, and I am late to the party not because I missed it necessarily, because I had the alert go off. It's just because of the whole Powell situation. If I maybe had been watching this one maybe an hour ago and maybe looked at it like in here, it would have been interesting. It's just, she's kind of going without me, but it's a beautiful setup. It's a beautiful look. It really is. So I do like it. I do like it. So I might enter that before the end of the day. We'll see how we're feeling. Otherwise, we'll look for other stuff. And I got other positions anyway, so I don't really need to forcefully do anything. Microsoft is popping up. I had an alert on this, but I don't like the chart. Netflix could be interesting above this level. Right there, a little bit of a downtrend setting up on Netty. Meta's been looking pretty good. Home Depot, very nice day today. I just said, Home Depot. Why does it sound like that? Maybe it's my Invisalign. My Invisalign is still making me talk weird, which is probably going to be. I mean, it's been 8 weeks now, so yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't know how much I can do. I thought I'd adapt to it, and I kind of have, but I still have like a lisp and shit. Powell says we have the ability right now to approach rate cut question carefully. I don't really think we can look at the current projections or the FOMC or the pricing in of all this stuff. Southwest, by the way, if you're looking at flights, they got some deals going on. I just saw a thing about that earlier. I was like, oh shit, I should look. I had booked a Southwest flight for the end of the month, but price was actually cheaper when I booked it than it is now, which is cool. I almost never do that. I always almost buy plane tickets when they're like not the cheapest, even though I'll watch them for like a week sometimes and be like, yeah, let's see how the prices bounce around, and then I'll just get them, and then like right when I get them, and like the next day it's like massive cut. Okay, so July 31st is the next meeting. 8.8% chance of a cut for that meeting, and 91.1% chance that we're going to keep it the same, and that seems to be like kind of where we're at. September, maybe there's a little bit more, September is where the market's pricing in the first cut by. And then it looks like if you go out to December, the market's pricing in 2 cuts by December, but next highest probability is that we get 1. So 1 to 2, maybe 3, but that 3 is the lower of those chances by then, based on what the market's pricing in. And by the way, the market is pulling back as I speak. So let's talk about it. Boom. Hit high a day. So we hit high a day, and then it went get fucked. Nah, SPY just took a dive. Funny how, that's what I when you play or when you have these types of days, it's like, yeah, it's cool that CPI came out and the market was trending up and it was super, super strong early on, which it's great. Like, oh, awesome. But, you go back and forth saying, well, we're getting some moves, or I'm getting breakouts, or I'm getting my alerts going off for these stocks or these, setups. Do I get in prior to Powell? How big of a deal is that going to be after having a massive move earlier in the day? And you can go back and forth on that. And sometimes it won't matter. Sometimes it will. I just kind of lean towards there's no need. There's going to be many other days where there's no Powell speaking. It's all it takes is one question, him to say one word, one thing, and then and then it could not that it's the end of the world. I mean, you use a stop loss, it is what it is. But it's like you enter something and you win and you're happy, but when you lose, you're like, ah, shit, why did I bother with Powell? Because it's really a toss up 50-50 sometimes. So the good news is that if I do want to get that booking trade, if we get a pullback here, I will get a decent, or I'll get a better looking opportunity, or maybe a better price if I want to get in. But then the question is, do you want to get in? We got PPI tomorrow. It is a swing, so the reality of it, it's not going to be a massive risk overnight. Not even that. Like, it's not going to be a massive risk in general. It's just, do you want to fuck with this or not? So if I want it right now, I could get a better price, and I would be okay with the price. Around 38.80 would be a decent spot. I wouldn't be that pissed about it. But do I want it is the question. I gotta check on volume. How's the volume looking today? Volume today is set to be kind of close to yesterday and the day before, which were decent days, but nothing crazy. So I don't really see like crazy volume then. And that was the mistake that I made when I tried booking a couple days or a week or two back, or it was back in here. It broke out, but the volume was actually really low. We're better than that now, so that's better, but it's nothing great. So I think I'm gonna leave it alone. Yeah. I think I'm just gonna leave that guy alone. We'll watch him maybe tomorrow after PPI, but there's other things we can probably be getting ourselves into if we really wanted to that are better than that. But also, there's no need to do anything because I'm good. AMC and GameStop pulling back today. GameStop, where's the look? Wow. They had some pops. So yeah, just really consolidation. That's not really interesting to me at all. This chart's not really interesting. Dow is red now. The Dow is now down a quarter percent, by the way. Not a great looking candle on the Dow. You look at the S&P, you're like, oh, it looks great. But now you're getting a nasty, pullback. I guess not post Powell. Well, he just ended it 2 minutes ago. There's a summary and key statements, which... Okay, cool. I mean, I care, but I also don't, because I just really care about price. I don't really care about what he says, to be honest with you. It matters, don't get me wrong. He's a catalyst. He's a big catalyst, but, people can read into that stuff too much, I think, and then you play the game of, wow, Powell said this, and that means we should go up or down. So shut the fuck up. Doesn't matter. We're gonna go up or down either way. Trying to think about it because it doesn't have to always make sense, and if it does, cool, you're just playing into something that doesn't matter anyway. I don't know, that's my take on it. Doesn't matter. I mean, it matters obviously, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme. Because guess what? Because tomorrow you've got more catalysts. And then next week there are more catalysts. And then the week after that, there's probably more catalysts. And so when you have all that, there's many opportunities for you to think about what this catalyst means and how it should mean that we should do this, but we don't. And then you're going to mess your head up, and then you're going to start doing, well, what the fuck do I do? And then you're going to either sit there and say, well, I don't know. And then you're going to have sweaty palms, or you're going to question everything you do, and then you're not going to do anything because you're a pussy and you're scared. And it's like, okay, well, is that helping you? No, it's not. Apple with the rejection off that level. But I mean, SPY's still up 0.78 on the day, 0.8 on the day. Qs are up 1.18. Pretty big move the past 10 minutes after Powell. Well, as he was wrapping up his press conference and all that stuff, which we have now 30 minutes left to see how things crumble. 10 years kind of come back up a bit off of what he has said, or off of the press conference. The dollar, the same thing. We've curled back up, which probably means that gold and silver are headed down. Yes, they are as of late. They're erasing. Gold erased the entire move from the CPI this morning, which is not particularly bullish if you ask me. But then again, right, gold in the bigger picture has been bullish and it's been trending up very, very nicely. So I'm not going to give it too much shit. Silver, on the other hand, similar. It's still got a little more to go to give back all the move, but it's in a bit of a downtrend the past couple of weeks, I'd say. Lower highs and lower lows, but nothing crazy. Yeah. So that's why you just gotta. I wonder what ETH is looking like. That's why you just. Yeah, well, ETH does not look great. I was looking at ETH as a potential play for a breakout above here, but that was before it did this. So I don't like that trade anymore. It's going to take a while to set that one up. But yeah, I have to say, I think I was just talking about this earlier. My brother was talking to me because he was asking, he's looking to maybe get into trading, and he's like, oh, well, what do you do? And he wants to start trying stuff and seeing how it goes. And I was like, okay, well, I'll be honest with you, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, bull markets are awesome. I mean, people say, oh, well, it's easy to make money in bull market. From an investing standpoint, yeah, I totally agree. I think from a momentum side, now if you don't trade momentum, different story. From a momentum standpoint, I think bear markets are the best. But we haven't had a lot of them. We haven't had a lot of opportunities for that. I just happen to love it. So I was like, hey, dude, not going to lie. I mean, who knows when it ends, but let her go. Let it pump, because you're going to have an opportunity, and at some point, and this is, I wouldn't say it was a bear market, but a very nice period of time where you could have capitalized. And that was actually one of my best months, I think, performance-wise, was in October of last year, which was actually the worst month for the S&P last year. And this period was great. If you would, I didn't have the same strategy back then, so I was playing dip buy. I was not being dumb. I just didn't have a good momentum. I didn't have a momentum strategy I was trading off of back then, so I didn't really do much. But there were some great opportunities in there. I remember specifically on Nvidia and AMD. I'm pretty sure, and even I don't know about Tesla, probably, but those are AMD and Nvidia were like two amazing short plays in here for many setups and breakdowns and whatnot. They were really good, and I remember that specifically because I remember buying the dip on SOXL, which is the 3x bullish ETF on SMH, which, by the way, SOXL has yet to come back to the highs of 2021. But that's because of the decay factors and then the big, bear market factor. Now it's come back, but new highs there, obviously. But it's done very, very well from the bear market lows to where it is now. It's up 800%. So it's like Nvidia. But I mean, I remember buying the dip on options here when I was being a dumbass and didn't have a strategy that I have now. And I remember looking at Nvidia and AMD, and every day I'd look at them and they'd get nailed and they get nailed again right when I buy the dip, and then I'm on this, which those were bigger players in that. So I remember that specifically, and it was just like fuck. But had I had this strategy back then, holy shit, different story. I would have had a much different view of that bear market, I think. Not that I'm hoping for one, but I just think it's easier personally to trade in it from a momentum perspective. Because people, when people get washed out and they buy dips and then it dips lower, it's very easy to go, fuck, and then they sell to get out. So you have panic sellers, you have people who are just scared, and the moves can flush, and they tend to happen faster. And then the bounces could be huge off that too. So you gotta be careful and, not shorting shit that's been down for like 4 or 5 days in a row. But man, there could be some good opportunities. What's going on, Flippa? Yeah, we're just checking in. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, the market's coming back down off of where it was like 20 minutes ago. But it's still up, generally speaking. We'll see how it closes today. I'm curious if it wants to regain, a bit. But holding 440 roughly for now. And so let me go back. Let me go to that CPI. I'm covering like most of it. Let me see if I can just. There you go. The bigger, we can look inside the individual stuff, which the notable things I saw was new vehicles down month over month 0.5, which is cool. Apparel was down a little bit. Transportation services down a little bit. Cool. Energy down a little bit. Okay, cool, whatever. You had core CPI come in at 3.4%. Whereas headline all item CPI came in at 3.3. So core and headline have pretty much started now to converge to pretty much the same spot, which is cool because core was was way above. Headline is going to be volatile. If oil is not looking good, if oil breaks down further this month, then yeah, headline is going to be headed lower for sure. Maybe it breaks into the twos at some point, but it's going to be dependent on oil and other seasonal things and stuff. Whereas core, I think, is where everyone's been looking, and it's kind of more of a better view, and it's more stable, a little more stable. So core is great. It's under 3.5, and actually, as of the past 2 months, core has now made its next. It's like it was coming down, and then it was like, it's still coming down, but it was slowing that move, the red line. But the past 2 months, it's gone from like, what is that, 3.8 to now 3.6 and 3.4. 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Like if it keeps doing that, you're on great pace for core to come inside of 3 here soon. So that's positive. I don't know if that's what the market liked. I don't try to think about it and try to give you a reason why necessarily the market's going to do what it wants to do. There doesn't need to always be a specific reason, I think, necessarily that you have to point to one thing. There's a combination of many, many things. But either way, those numbers are continuing to trend in a positive direction, or I guess in a negative direction, but in a positive direction for the market to say, great, I did see the Russell today, and I was like, whoa, it's come back. It's given a lot of it back. But I did see that this morning, and I was like, that is crazy. Because that was the first thing that I saw when I opened my phone. I was like, oh, it's 8:32 Eastern. Let me just pop it up and check. And I checked. I'm like, oh, shit, the Russell's up a ton. And it's proceeded to give back a lot of, hey, it's still up 1.5%, which is good. Big gaps to fill. But like I was saying, I think the piece on bear markets, bull markets, I think in at least my experience, I've been watching a lot of this move up. It seems as if you have a lot more of the, like push up, pull back, but you're trending higher overall in these bulls, but it's not like a super crazy momentum push for the majority of the time. Maybe at the end of a rally, or as you're approaching a top, a short-term top or something, then that's when maybe more of an explosive move starts to occur. But then it starts to kind of peter out, and then you get more of this. When you get more of the higher low stuff, it's not bad. It just is. I just find that that's not as fun to trade because, it means a lot of overnight gap ups and then overnight gap downs, and then not a ton of insane moves every day in intraday. Whereas in a bear market, I think you've got a little more pressure intraday and a little more panic selling intraday. Because when stuff starts moving to the downside, people start shitting their pants and they have to get out and they got to panic sell and and then that things move. Whereas I don't know how much you don't have as much of that, I think, to the upside. Let me check fear and greed here really quick. Tomorrow we're going to get sentiment data. And we're going to see what sentiment looks like. But dude, this is going to adjust in the coming days if we stay high on the S&P. But it's pretty crazy to me that we just blasted a new all-time high on the S&P and the NASDAQ today. And we're at a 47 on fear and greed. That's kind of cool. Cool or maybe not cool. It's interesting, I think, at least. Now, the question or the other side of that was, well, it's been on low volume. Well, okay, volume today is already above the past 2 days. So we're going to have a better volume day today. Not amazing, but we're going to be better in terms of volume. QQQ, yeah, you're on pace for a pretty good volume day. Not amazing, but pretty freaking good. So volume is certainly kind of trying to come in. And look at that move. Blasting to new all-time highs. Like it was new all-time high yesterday, but like a true poof pop today. Same with SPY, not as well, it's similar. But yeah, cool stuff. But yeah, the question that I was thinking before was like, well, now is this going to mean more for risk on? By the way, Upstart, talk about vault. Like, you want to talk about, I don't trade this thing, but I remember back in the day, I used to look at this thing a lot. Upstart was up like 10+% today at one point. It's now only up 1.6. You want to talk about a stock that moves around. You want to talk about a stock that moves around. This one is one. If you like things that move around, this is one to have on the radar because it moves around. Apple, funny how, look at that move. Woo. It was over 220 and now it's bound down 214. Jeez, it actually just came inside of 214 a minute ago. Jeez. Apple's chart, check out the daily time frame on this. Like, what is that? What is that? What is that? Crazy shit. Massive move. Massive move. Back when I had an Apple trade on when Apple broke this blue line right here. And technically speaking, it never hit my stop originally, but it got very close to my take profit. So what I did was I moved my stop to break even, which it then took out. And then proceeded to the next, coming days, absolutely rip face. But I mean, either way, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, my target would have been like right here. Once it hit this area, I would be like, oh, I'm out. And then I would be like, oh shit, it went more. I don't think like that. I don't really care. It's not my trade anyway, so who cares? But I mean, back in the day, I would get so much FOMO from this type of stuff. Now I could care less, but the FOMO would be tough to hold back. Let's check in on booking and see how it looks. She has me tempted. So last time that I had one, that I had the same feeling of this, of like, I got in and then I ended up getting wrecked on it because of fees. So I'm going to avoid this one, although I do think it could be a great trade. It has broken out. I'm just going to avoid it for today and potentially enter tomorrow. We'll see what occurs tomorrow after PPI. If I miss it and it's, up again and then I'm not going to get the entry that I'm looking for, then okay, no problem. But 38.8 I think is kind of like, I don't want to be buying it above that level. So we're under that right now, but barely. And PPI tomorrow, I'm just going to leave her be. I think it's a better idea. eBay, we are currently still in the long on it. It's been a pain. It's been slow. I probably should have sized bigger on the trade, to be honest with you, because it's been so slow. So if it works, it's like I've been in this thing for 3 fucking weeks. What's it going to make? If it doesn't make me a decent chunk of change, it's like, well, I kind of wasted my time. It's how I'm going to feel. But whatever. I don't really... who cares? In the grand scheme, though, it technically broke out, right? We came back, pulled back, never hit the stop loss. The stop loss was right here at 51. I proceeded to move it up to 51.50, which is this level right here, under the week, 2 weeks ago, the low. And then we're kind of, and it doesn't look bad. It's just in like a holding pattern for now. So leaving that on. Technically speaking, I had well, you'll see in the trade recaps that come out over the coming days. I had a couple things go down to the point where I now, in the account that I traded, the stock account, which is eBay, and we are potentially like 2 to 3 trades away from funded account, which is cool. I feel like I've been saying that for like a couple of trades, but I had a couple losers, but then I had a couple winners. Or I had a couple losers, had a couple winners, so we're kind of back, but we're up to a pretty good spot. So based on the current sizing, I'm like 2 or 3 trades away from being there. That will be fun, and the plan is going to be, like I've been saying, to go with the bigger accounts, trade copier attached to the bigger account, whatever. But not right away, but soon. So if let's say I got funded next week on it, I'm not gonna immediately go buy the bigger account, but I will be buying it soon, and then the trade recaps are gonna take a jump. It's gonna go from, well, I guess the sizing will be 8 times larger. So you'll do the math. If a trade recap is currently sitting at, let's say, I don't know, $140, times that by 8, and then in terms of like, okay, making this much or losing this much. Then if I win, or if I have a winner on, let's say, a day trade like NVIDIA, the trade recap will read making $1,120 trading NVIDIA, which is going to be a big jump. But technically, for the first couple of weeks, once that happens, it's not really like my money. Some of it's mine, a smaller 1/8 of it is mine, and then the rest of it is working towards the next, like passing the next challenge on the bigger account, which is really what we're going for, because that's when we pass the bigger one. Now we have fucking real money. So that's the plan. Yeah, the Dow has been weird. Not nearly as strong. It also just hasn't been in the past couple of weeks anyway. It's been weaker, which is funny. But what is the weights in the Dow? Let me check out what the Dow has. What's the best? Maybe S&P Global is a good one to go to. I just want you to give me the Dow. 30 blue chip US stocks. Yes, I know that, but what about the weights? Let's go to slickcharts.com. Let's see what they got. Here we go, baby. So UNH has a pretty heavy weight in there, 8.4%. Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, which is up a lot, but not bit. Not Home Depot is in there, believe it or not. Caterpillar, Amgen. Yeah, so you know Apple is in there, but it's down at number 13, so it's not a humongous weight. So Apple has not been able to pull the entire Dow up on its shoulders as of late. So yeah, inside of here, you got a lot of other stuff that is not doing as well, which is why the Dow is not at all-time highs. Simple as that. Nike's in there, Walmart, Coca-Cola, Cisco, Verizon, Intel. Intel's in there. Interesting. Intel's in there. JP Morgan, Honeywell, Salesforce. Interesting. Where's CRM? Isn't CRM doing good, or is it the one that's doing bad? Oh no, yeah, it's not doing great. There is something else. Qualcomm. Qualcomm, I get them confused. Qualcomm looks good. By the way, Qualcomm kind of trying to break out of a little bit of a consolidation. Yeah, I can see the head and shoulders idea. I can see it. Would want to see the Dow on in a perfect world if you are looking for the downside there. What I'd want to see, first off, is weakness across the S&P, which we're not really seeing. But maybe this trend line breakdown. If this trend line breaks down, then we can talk, I think. That's kind of a good line for now that I'll be leaving. I'll leave on there because it looks cool. And it's kind of holding up. Let me just do my usual. Let's go through the big list here. CrowdStrike going hard. Wow, AVGO having a day. You know, it's an interesting dynamic, I'll tell you that, because it's not, well, I guess we can go to FinViz to look. FinViz. You got a 70% advance today, so 70% of stocks are up today, which is cool, but it's not everything. But yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking at it from the charts that I've been watching. You have a really interesting dynamic where some things are doing very, very well, Apple, Nvidia, etc. But then you look at some other charts and they're totally not. Like, we'll find some here. There were some at the top we were just looking at, but we'll see some. I mean, let's go through some. Walmart's doing pretty good. Shop's doing pretty good. I mean, look at this. Kraft Heinz getting rocked the past couple of days and weeks and even months from the highs that it made back in April. Adobe not doing great. Autodesk is doing good. You know, so it's interesting that when you look around, there's a decent amount of spread in terms of some things doing really well, some things not. Ooh, C Limited. Put a little bit of. I mean, that's not tradable for me. I mean, I guess it could in theory be, but also I do not like this. I mean, it's great, but don't get me wrong. But I mean, how many days do you want to be green in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 green days in a row is a lot. Probabilities of having a red day are pretty high here soon on that. Doesn't mean you can't go higher, but Nike getting nailed today. Dude, Nike, I mean, for whatever reason, I keep coming back to them for trail shoes. I was looking at, tried a couple other brands now, and I'll be honest with you, I come back to Nike, and it just hits. It hits good, gets the job done, and it's exactly what I'm looking for every time, and my feet like it. So as much as I would love to try somebody else and go with different brands, Nike is just always there for me. Roku getting absolutely rocked today. Huge bearish engulfing setting up on Roku's chart. Could be one to be watching for downside this further this week if the market is weak. Zoom getting rocked to pretty much down into the lows that we've seen Zoom. I mean, there are, yeah, the SE looks like Haganashi, dude. It does. That's funny. That's literally like what I clicked in my head, but I just didn't like register it. But that's funny. I'm just going through this list quick here, just in case something catches my eye that I haven't seen yet. It's every couple of days I got to rip through here. I usually will go through it and then set alerts if I see something cool. If I don't see anything cool, then I don't set alerts. As of right now, well, holy shit, Oracle had earnings. That's why. Crazy move and all-time highs on Oracle, I assume. I mean, I assume it's all-time highs, yeah. Disney bouncing off a level, but could be a trade to the downside under that if you really felt the need, but also then you're fighting the overall market, which is just, that's what I get torn by when I look at these stocks. It's like I get torn by Costco crushing. I get torn by like the overall market trend versus some of the stocks I'm looking at their trend. And there are some decent looking or potentially decent looking downside trade. Look at Microsoft, such a great day today. Good downside opportunities, just that you would be fighting the overall market. And then what I've seen for many of these downside trades have been, by the way, GM, thank you. It was a beautiful trade. I got out yesterday. There should be a recap on that one probably tomorrow, I think. But yeah, the trade setups, they just kind of pitter out. Like they break the level to the downside, and then it's like they don't give you momentum. And that's kind of what I've generally come to see in bull markets trying to play shorts. And I this year I am red on, I believe, on almost all my. I think I'm red overall on shorts, but obviously I've taken so many more longs. But I'm red overall on shorts, and it's not surprising. But like when I see that and I look at the data and I'm like, okay, well, if that's my data and the market trend is higher, I don't want to short. You know, why would I do that if I almost know that I have a higher probability of losing this, you know, in this current environment? So that's kind of where my mind goes. But a couple minutes, we'll wrap up. Merck could be a trade to the upside here soon. Probably on the weekly time frame. Yeah, definitely on the weekly for me on Merck. So that would be a, I'm going to put an alert on that. But that would be a, you know, sit myself in it and then just let it go. Let it work. Qualcomm looks pretty good, breaking out to the upside. Bitcoin giving back the move. Interesting. There. Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Bitcoin is going to do what it wants to do. It's going to do it. Bitcoin wouldn't surprise me if it did this and then it went poof, you know. Or it would be hilarious if Bitcoin broke this level and then got nailed, and that was the high for this bull market. I think if Bitcoin breaks above 74K, which is kind of like the level, if that occurs, I think a lot of people would be in the camp that 100K is coming this year. If it happens like somewhat soon, I would imagine. If it doesn't happen, okay. But if when this level breaks, I think you're going to have a lot of people who think that 100K will be the next target or be the next stop, which is not that crazy to think, because if it breaks out above that blue line, you're looking at, to get to 100K, Yeah, a 30% move, which is a lot. 32 or I guess 35% move. It's a lot. But, you know, look at some of the moves that we had back in here. And Bitcoin went on this run, this little breakout, and it went 40%, you know. So this little move inside of here was 25. It could do it. I would, if I have some Bitcoin in my, it's sitting in my Robinhood account, but if Bitcoin goes above 100K, I said multiple times, I would probably get out of all of it. Most of it. Maybe not all of it, most of it. I'd probably sell all of it. Most all, same thing, right? But I guess I don't care. I'm not that type of guy. I'm not the Bitcoin guy, so I mean, hey, it could be an amazing opportunity. And for those who have already been around and gotten in on the action early on, hey, you've already done very, very well. I'm just not gonna pretend that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. I just trade charts. That's it. Dollar and yields. Yeah, they've definitely looked like the dollar. The 10-year was down like 3%. It's now like down 1.68, which is nothing. Still down, but it, you know, not nearly as bad. And then the dollars come back a good bit. 104 is the spot that I want to see it break down if I'm getting interested on that from downside wise. But for now, holding 104 on that, so you're chilling. Remember, I just love having SVIX on the radar. SVIX, remember SVIX? If you were to be buying into the volatility, I love having this one on the radar because this thing from the lows of just back in mid-April to right now is up 38%. Great one if you want to play a non-option way, I guess, to play like shorting and longing this to trade off of the VIX and say, hey, like right now the VIX is very, very low. I want to hedge myself. I want to short SVIX, or when SVIX dips a lot, that means the VIX spikes up a lot, and you could play that opposite and play the reversal of that if you want. But with that said, market just closed. I'm going to wrap things up. The market still finishes up. S&P finishing up 0.8. QQQ up 1.3. The Dow was red, barely, but it was red, and the Russell was up 1.6. So Dow was red, interestingly enough. Not everything was up today. But we'll be back tomorrow, PPI in the morning. I'm going to have a live stream in the morning tomorrow as well at the open for about an hour or so. And we'll hang out and we'll see what happens. Thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you then. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.